Good morning, everybody. I hope you can all hear me. I'm delighted to stand before you, and I'm looking at this issue of education from a slightly different angle. And thank you very much. Your points were so on point. But I'm going to be looking at what the situation for women in leadership and looking at it globally, generally, concentrating on my corner of the world, Africa, and looking at especially women in areas of specialties and subspecializations. I think some of the talk yesterday centered around how few women there were at the top in subspecialization, not necessarily academia, but subspecialization. So we've had a lot of talk about gender and its importance as a determinant of health, and the fact that being gender aware is supposed to increase the equity, result in increase in equity and equality in health, resulting in better outcomes. And medicine was supposed to be gender blind, but we've all known that it's been male biased, and we've seen all the differences from the angle of women once women are studied as such. It was very interesting to hear from NASA that in space there is a gender difference, and I thought that was really illuminating. So in the past, in the Western world, the history of women in surgery has dated back many millennia before Christ, with documentation from Egypt, Italy, and Greece. And there, the women were said to hold prominent positions in medicine. Then this began to change in the Middle Ages, as women often had to impersonate men in order to be able to practice both medicine and surgery. So that was a very difficult time for women. And even in America, the American College of Surgeons admitted its first woman in 1913. That tells you how long ago that was. So at the moment, the picture is that you have gender parity in most medical schools. Some have a female preponderance. But when you come to look at the various subspecialties, the picture is completely different. In the United States, only 15% of applicants in residency training programs can be found in thoracic surgery, urology, orthopedic surgery, or neurosurgery. Similar picture in Canada. In South Africa, it's no different. In Nigeria, women doctors choose their subspecialty dependent on the other arms and the other functions that they have to perform as women. So depending on what happens within the family, they are the ones who take the back seat and sacrifice some of their dreams and aspirations. So looking at the graph, you can see there are more women in medical schools. But when you look at the specialties, then you begin to get an idea of what is happening. Specialties around children tend to have more women. In some areas, specialties around women, because of cultural biases, would also have more women. And that's the state, I believe, in places like India and in a lot of the Muslim world. Now, when it comes to academia, there's still a lot of gender inequity. A review done by McLemore in 2012 showed that 41% of assistant professors, which are what we call senior lecturers or readers, were female. 17% were full professors, with only 17% of tenured faculty being female. So what's the situation with us? In a study done by a resident for her fellowship in South Africa, she found that 39.3% of the residents whom she had surveyed, who were 28, were female. She also found that when you looked at the number of publications by males and females, they were equal in number. Yet there hadn't been any female on the board of a peer-reviewed journal or any female who had supervised postgraduate research. In Nigeria, several studies were done in 2017, and the questioner, Abolarinwa, found that 9.1% of 60 doctors who were surveyed were in academia, with only 1.85% being at the professorial level. The first female general surgeon in Nigeria graduated in 1977. She went into academia. That's quite recent. And there was only one woman in academia in this group that was surveyed. In this study in Nigeria, she found that plastic surgery was preferred by most of the women, followed by pediatric surgery in 18.4%. But increasingly, they were beginning to see more women being interested in orthopedics, cardiothoracic, neurosurgery, and urology. In Ghana, we've only just recently graduated our first female orthopedic surgeon, our first urologist, and our first plastic and reconstructive surgeon. We currently have one resident in training in cardiothoracic surgery and in neurosurgery. Now, I happen to have been the first female graduate of the University of Ghana Medical School to have done surgery in Ghana. So we have a College of Physicians and Surgeons in Ghana, and since 2011, when it was established, out of 403 members, only 52 have been women. That's 37%. And the next level of fellowship, out of 360, 30 have been women. So overall, in medical education, you're getting more females graduating, and yet at the subspecialty level, it looks like the glass ceiling that we have shattered at the lower levels has just moved up. In academia in Ghana, there are fewer than 10% of females. I'm the first female professor of surgery, pediatric surgery. You know, there's so few of us, but thankfully, the picture is beginning to change. In 2015, the Global Commission said that surgery is an unrecognized surgical crisis. And they estimated that there are about 143 million surgical procedures needed every year to meet this unmet need. In the US, 19% of women surgeons are likely to receive career promotions, but they still will earn less than their male counterparts. Thankfully, in Ghana, we don't have that disease. We earn the same as our male counterparts. The Global Commission also estimates that in low-income countries, there are only 3 female surgeons for every million of the population. And they reckon that there are 130 million girls aged between 6 and 17 who fall out of the educational ladder, and 15 million girls at primary school age who will never set foot in a classroom due to many barriers, cultural, financial, and what have you. So the question I want to ask is, what role is there for MWIA in this next centennium? These missing girls are asking us to advocate for them. We need to look at the reasons why they are missing from the educational strata. And we need to look at why they are not moving up any higher at the postgraduate levels. What are the determinants? What are the barriers? Based on our collective experiences, we can help to pull each other up and advocate for mentoring, refocusing, plans for training, and any other initiatives that may have worked in our countries, which we can share and split with others. And I believe we owe it to ourselves as medical women and to the world that we are in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Hess. We have time for 2 questions.
Mine is a comment, not a question. As the president of the Association of Medical Women in India, I'm very, very happy for such an enlightening talk, for the Girard oration that you are giving on our behalf, which has been donated or gifted to MWIA for this occasion. So I'm very thankful. Give her a good hand, please. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Mireille Norris. I'm an internist geriatrician in Canada, University of Toronto professor. And I have a master's degree in health administration, bilingual. And talk about the early kind of trauma of rejection. You know, spending so much time, energy, night, weekend, working with top authorities like Canadian Task Force on Preventive Healthcare. 4 years of effort to write a meager paper. Rejection, rewrite, rejection, rewrite, rejection, rewrite. And then you realize, they don't want me, I'm wasting my time. And I'm overqualified, and people without the qualification, with less abilities, are getting promoted, and you say, I'm wasting my time. How do you surmount that trauma of rejection?
Well, that's where we need to have a circle of women that are pulling us along. I think now we don't have that problem. In my time, it was a little bit different because surgery, a lot of specialties are still seen as male dominant, or male provinces, that this is really for a man, not a woman. But it needs a certain kind of woman who is determined. You have to have determination. You have to be able to look beyond the rejection. You have to be able to find the right mentors. Now mentors are available. You have to be able to find the right mentors. In academia, it's publish or perish. And I'm sure that happens everywhere. So how can we form a grouping that can help mentor other women, that will help them get the kinds of publications and promotions that they need to be able to get through? I offer myself as a mentor for anybody who wants to write papers. We organize workshops and so on. And it is not easy because the world is still a man's club or a big men's club, and they really support each other. But I believe that if we all stick together, we continue with the communication, with the mentoring, with all that we can do as individuals, together we can make a difference. But when you hit a wall in one direction, you don't give up. Now there's so many journals. So if one will not take it, go somewhere else. You may find what you need.
Identifying the right men allies. I mean, there are men out there whose wife are physicians, whose daughters are studying medicine, who really believe in promoting women, and it's identifying those men.
So that's where we can form a network and talk to each other if we happen to know these men and help you find them.
I've got permission for one more question. You know what, I'm going to go. This young lady over here. And we do have 10 minutes at the end for questions for all the panelists.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, Professor Hesse. We are very proud of you in Ghana for what you've been doing for us. But then I also would like to make a little contribution or ask a question. I believe that for those of us who are in the medical field, women, how can we make it so attractive to the young ladies who are coming up, so that depending on where you are coming from, the cultural differences, we can let them know that it's possible to effectively combine your role as a woman as well as being a medical officer or doctor and moving forward in their various specialities, just to make them know that it is doable. Sometimes you meet some of even the female lecturers, and sometimes the comments they may pass may just make you feel like dropping out. So how can we as women, like you said, MWIA, come together to ensure that we allow the young ladies that are coming up know that, yes, it's possible, it's doable, and they can also do it. Thank you.
Thank you. I think essentially you've answered yourself. But just to say that the national affiliate associations should take on that role and should offer mentoring for younger women and younger physicians. And when they see, I think the previous speaker, I wrote a quotation, what you said at the end, what you think you are projecting may not be what people are seeing. So you have to try and make that much as your individual decision and responsibility. And if we take that within the Medical Women's International Association, I believe that we will be able to get a lot further. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Hess.